Reverend Louis Farrakhan appeared.
Louis Farrakhan.
Farrakhan. Nation of Islam leader Louis Farrakhan.
Every time you go to school, turn on your television, they're teaching you about the Holocaust. And the Jews never get tired of telling you about how Hitler put them in ovens. Why do you get tired when somebody starts telling you how white people put you in ovens, put you in chains, hung you on trees, drowned you in the rivers and the lakes, castrated you, imprisoned you falsely? You say the minister teaching hate. I don't know about you, but I hate what was done to our fathers. And I hate it so bad. I want to make sure that we remember so that we'll never allow that to ever happen to us and our children again.
They told us America was the land of freedom, but history tells a different story. Behind the flags and speeches lies a record of struggle, where black people have had to bleed for the right to exist as human beings. Minister Louis Farrakhan warned us that power never gives up its grip willingly, and that the very nation we live in has worked tirelessly to keep us bound. From stolen businesses to silenced leaders, from false promises of partnership to the crushing weight of systemic control, the evidence is everywhere. In this video, we break down the words they never wanted you to hear and expose the lessons hidden in plain sight. Let's begin.
Now, we know that the most powerful country on earth is the United States of America. It would be foolish for us to think that the prophets could see and didn't see America in their prophetic utterances. The most powerful nation on earth, the most powerful nation in the last 6,000 years, and a nation in whom or in which is another nation, an entire people swallowed up by another people, oppressed by that powerful people, and that people refuse to let you go or give you justice. Let's think over that. You have had to fight and bleed and die just to go to toilet with white people, just to eat at a lunch counter with white people, just to sleep in a hotel or motel with white people. You've had to die to have the right to enter a boardroom of corporate America, and you still don't have what you need to be free. Let me show you what I mean. You refuse to believe that the rulers of America are your open enemy. You believe that these people are your friends. This is because you don't know what an enemy is.
The United States of America calls itself the most powerful nation on earth, and there is truth in that claim. Its military strength extends across the globe, its corporations shape economies far beyond its borders, and its cultural reach influences billions. Minister Louis Farrakhan has often reminded audiences that it would be naive to imagine such a nation escaped the sight of the prophets who spoke about empires of old. In the last 6,000 years of human history, few nations have risen with such commanding force. Yet within the belly of this empire lies another nation, a people carried here in chains, swallowed up, and oppressed by the very system that exalts itself as a light to the world. That people is Black America. The struggle for dignity has been relentless. To use a public restroom without harassment was not a given but a fight. To sit at a lunch counter, to stay at a hotel, to cast a ballot, to sit on a corporate board, these are rights that required sacrifice, jail time, and often blood. During the Civil Rights Movement, names like Medgar Evers, Fannie Lou Hamer, and Martin Luther King Jr. became immortal because they faced down the brutal opposition of a system that refused to recognize the humanity of black citizens. Even today, nearly 60 years after the passage of the Civil Rights Act, disparities remain in housing, education, healthcare, and wealth. The numbers confirm the inequality. According to the Federal Reserve's 2023 survey, the median wealth of white families is more than 6 times that of black families. Such gaps are not accidents. They are the continuation of a long history of exclusion. Farrakhan's words strike at the heart of the illusion many hold about America. Too often, black people are encouraged to see the rulers of this nation as friends or allies, when the evidence points in another direction. From slavery to Jim Crow to mass incarceration, the institutions of America have systematically denied freedom and equality to black people. When a power denies your humanity generation after generation, it cannot be called a friend. To mistake it for one is to leave yourself defenseless. This is not a call to hatred. It is a call to clarity. An enemy is defined not by how they smile in public, but by the harm they cause and the freedom they deny. Farrakhan challenged his listeners to recognize this reality, not so they would be consumed by bitterness, but so they would no longer live under deception. Only when a people recognize the forces against them can they organize to protect themselves and pursue genuine liberation. The prophets of old warned of empires that rose high only to fall when they mistreated the vulnerable. America, with all its power, is not exempt from this truth. Its record toward black people is written in blood and tears, and the refusal to reckon with it has left deep wounds. If history teaches anything, it is that ignoring an enemy's nature only ensures continued oppression. To confront it with knowledge, discipline, and unity is the first step toward securing a future where freedom is not begged for, but lived.
Every time you put on Discovery Channel, you see where the mother will try to protect the young from the natural enemy. Well, if everything in nature has a natural enemy, who is the natural enemy of God and the natural enemy of the black man? An enemy is one who would deprive you of your life. An enemy is one who would deprive you of that which gives you life. Freedom, justice, equality, the pursuit of happiness, knowledge, wisdom, understanding, love, peace, brotherhood, unity. An enemy would deprive you of this because this is what God wants you to have. But your enemy does not want you to have that. I have some dogs at the farm, and I have some cats at the farm. And at first, they were natural. They would fight each other. But since they grew together, the cat can lie down with the dog. But I have some other dogs that have never had that experience. And if I let them out of the kennel, they would kill every cat in sight. I have some sheep, beautiful sheep that give us little lambs. But if I let those dogs out the kennel, they'll kill the sheep. So you see, enemies can grow together. And when they get used to each other, they forget that they're enemies. But I watch when it's time to eat, the dog that looks like he's a friend of the cat, when it's time to eat, he'll fight the cats.
Nature teaches lessons if we are willing to observe them. Every documentary reminds us that animals protect their young from predators. The mother shields her offspring from what threatens their survival. Minister Louis Farrakhan once drew from this simple truth to ask a piercing question. If every creature has a natural enemy, then who is the natural enemy of the black man? Who stands opposed to his life, his freedom, his justice, his peace? It is not a question of imagination, but of evidence. Freedom, justice, equality, knowledge, wisdom, love, unity, these are the things God intends for human beings. Yet again and again, the black community has been denied them in America. Segregation denied freedom of movement. Sharecropping denied economic progress. Redlining denied home ownership. Discriminatory school systems denied access to quality education. Mass incarceration, disproportionately targeting black men, continues to deny entire families stability and security. Each denial carries the fingerprint of an enemy, even when it is cloaked in the language of law and order. Farrakhan used examples from the natural world to show how enmity can sometimes be concealed. A cat and a dog, raised together from birth, may appear to have set aside their differences. They grow comfortable in each other's presence, forgetting that their instincts once set them against each other. Yet the test comes when resources are scarce. At feeding time, the friendly dog will fight the cat for food. That is when the true nature of the relationship emerges. History provides the same warning. Black people were told after slavery that they had been set free, yet immediately laws were written to bind them again through black codes and vagrancy laws. They were promised equality after Reconstruction. But lynching and Jim Crow made it clear that freedom was conditional. Even after the Civil Rights Act of 1964, when it seemed the nation was prepared to live up to its ideals, systemic inequalities were reintroduced in new forms. The war on drugs in the 1980s devastated black communities, targeting them disproportionately, while white users of the same substances were treated more leniently. The pattern is consistent. When black people reach for equality, the system reasserts itself to deny them. That is the meaning of natural enmity. It is not about personal dislike or individual prejudice. It is about a system designed to suppress a people's potential and to keep them dependent on their former masters. Farrakhan's question forces a recognition of reality. Just as the sheep cannot mistake the predator for a companion, so too must black people understand the forces that deny them justice. Recognizing an enemy does not mean hatred consumes the heart. It means clarity replaces illusion. The cat may lie next to the dog, but it must always remain watchful. The black man may live in America, may work, study, and even succeed in its institutions, but he must never forget the history that shows how quickly opportunity can be snatched away. Vigilance is survival. Awareness is defense. And unity is the shield that prevents old patterns from repeating.
Is that right? There was a black brother that bought Beatrice Foods and became the largest black corporate giant in America, worth a little over $1 billion. It was BET. A brother that got together with other brothers and other corporate investors and put together BET. There was Def Jam Records. Now check this out. See, you build business, but you don't build no army. And you got to understand in America that business is warfare. And if you don't have no army, soon you won't have no business. That threatens big business. making a point. Your enemy never wants to see you independent of him. He must always be the master, and you must always be the servant. And when you try to escape being a servant, he finds devious ways to get you back under his wing.
Black enterprise in America has always been more than just commerce. It has been a declaration of independence. Minister Louis Farrakhan once reminded his audience that brothers and sisters have built powerful businesses, giants that stood as proof of black excellence. Beatrice Foods, once brought under black ownership, was valued at over $1 billion. Black entertainment television, created by Robert Johnson in 1980, rose from modest beginnings to become the first network dedicated to showcasing black culture. Def Jam Records, founded by Russell Simmons and Rick Rubin, became the heartbeat of hip-hop, amplifying voices from neighborhoods that the mainstream often ignored. These achievements were not simply about money. They were about carving out space where black creativity, leadership, and ownership could flourish. Yet Farrakhan warned that business in America is not just business, it is warfare. History shows this is true. The moment black economic independence grows too strong, it threatens entrenched power. Consider the fate of Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1921, often called Black Wall Street. A thriving district filled with black-owned businesses, banks, and institutions was destroyed in one of the worst race massacres in American history. White mobs, backed by local authorities, wiped out decades of wealth in a matter of days. That destruction sent a message. Black prosperity would not be tolerated if it challenged white supremacy. The pattern has repeated itself across generations. When black entrepreneurs build, they often face barriers designed to bring them back under the wing of larger white-controlled corporations. Farrakhan explained it plainly. Without an army, without protection, business cannot survive. The truth is harsh. In America, the marketplace is not neutral ground. Competition is backed by legal systems, financial institutions, and, when necessary, force. Without protection, black enterprise remains vulnerable. The idea that business is warfare is not metaphorical. It reflects the reality that economic power translates to political and social influence. When a people lack both, they remain dependent. Data today confirms this imbalance. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, black-owned businesses account for less than 2% of the nation's employer firms, despite black people making up over 13% of the population. That gap is not a reflection of ability or talent, but of structures designed to maintain control. Independence requires strategy, unity, and the ability to resist when powerful interests move to reclaim what has been built. Farrakhan's reminder was not simply about economics, it was about survival. Without power to defend gains, victories in the marketplace risk becoming temporary. The task is to ensure they are permanent, guarded not just by contracts and partnerships, but by organized strength.
He makes you an offer that you can't refuse. An offer in money backed by guns and gangsters. You don't have no army, and the lure of money gets you. So what we bought from Beatrice Foods is now back in the hands of Caucasians. Motown is owned by Caucasians. Ultra Sheen owned by Caucasians. BET taken over by Caucasians, and they about to fire Tavis Smiley and all the big executives. Why? Because Tavis is a man of conscience, a man of knowledge, and he loves his people. We must get rid of any that will make black people more independent in their thinking. Russell Simmons struggled with Def Jam Records, Def Jam Comedy. But they gave him an offer. Now he works for them. Mr. Bob Johnson, the owner of BET, now works for Viacom. He's got over $1 billion, but what is the dollar? It's a piece of paper with a white man's face on it. And the value of that paper is going down every day that we live. So what you have is nothing.
Minister Louis Farrakhan once described how black enterprise in America is constantly brought back under control through the lure of money and the threat of force. He explained that when a business begins to rise with independence, offers appear, offers backed not only by cash but by power. It is the combination of wealth and muscle that makes such offers hard to refuse. Those who resist are often reminded, directly or indirectly, of the consequences. Those who accept find themselves wealthy on paper but empty of true independence. History has proven this cycle repeatedly. Robert Johnson, who created black entertainment television, built a cultural empire that gave voice to black artists, actors, and entrepreneurs. Johnson became a billionaire, but the network itself was absorbed into a corporation dominated by white executives. The result was predictable. Voices of conscience within the company, including figures like Tavis Smiley, were silenced or pushed out. Ownership shifted, and with it, the purpose of the platform. What was once built for empowerment became another tool of mass entertainment, often stripped of its original mission. The same story unfolded in the music industry. Russell Simmons and Def Jam Records pioneered hip-hop, transforming it from a neighborhood sound into a global movement. But as corporate offers grew, ownership slipped away. Simmons himself admitted to losing creative control once Def Jam became absorbed by Universal Music Group. Motown, once the proudest emblem of black cultural and economic independence under Berry Gordy, is now owned by Universal as well. Each example reflects a painful reality. Black creativity builds institutions, but without protection, those institutions are eventually taken. Farrakhan's warning cuts deeper than individual names. He pointed out that the dollar itself is fragile. A billionaire today may hold stacks of paper, but that paper is tied to a system controlled by others. The value of the dollar continues to erode, and no amount of wealth tied to it guarantees true freedom. The 2008 financial crisis revealed how quickly markets could collapse, wiping out years of savings and destabilizing businesses. Even today, inflation continues to eat away at the worth of every paycheck, leaving those without independent structures at the mercy of forces beyond their control. The central lesson is that ownership without sovereignty is temporary. The enemy does not only aim to dominate land and labor, but also minds. A network, a record label, a corporation, all of these become powerful tools for shaping culture and influencing thought. When they are in black hands, they can uplift and inspire. When they return to the grip of those who historically oppressed, they can be used to reinforce dependency. This is why Farrakhan warned that America will always move to undermine true independence. Offers come dressed as opportunity, but their purpose is control. Black America has produced billionaires and moguls, but the question remains: who controls the platforms once they are sold? Who benefits when independence is traded for comfort? The truth is sobering. Until ownership is guarded not just by contracts but by collective strength, each victory risks becoming another chapter in the long story of gains taken away.
This is why Don King could say, "Only in America." Because when Don King, who's a big man, sits down with Time Warner, according to what I heard, they told him, "You're a flea, and we are the elephant, and we'll crush you." So they call it partnership. But all the time you form the partnership, they're finding a way to take it from you. They never stop. They come in as a partner, but they go out on top. Why? Because independence is too much for you. You begin to think you're equal to them, and you must never think that. You and your children and your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren must always be servants to your former slave masters and their children. You have an enemy.
Don King once said, "Only in America," a phrase that captured both his rise and the contradictions of the nation. Minister Louis Farrakhan drew on that story to illustrate a deeper truth. When King sat down with executives from Time Warner, he was reminded of his position. They told him, as the account goes, "You're a flea and we are the elephant and we'll crush you." The message was not hidden. Partnerships, no matter how they appear on the surface, were never equal. The powerful enter agreements with one purpose: to come out on top. Farrakhan warned that this is the reality black entrepreneurs and leaders must face. Time and again, partnerships are offered, but those partnerships are built on imbalance. A larger corporation may call it cooperation, but behind closed doors, the intent is to absorb, dominate, and eventually take control. This is why so many black-owned enterprises that once stood as symbols of independence have slipped into the hands of multinational corporations. The pattern is not random, it is systemic. When Robert Johnson sold BET to Viacom, he became the first black billionaire. Yet soon after, the network that once provided an independent platform for black culture became a subsidiary under executives who had no obligation to its original mission. Motown, once the pride of Berry Gordy and the sound of Black America, was eventually sold to Universal. Def Jam Records, born from the vision of Russell Simmons, met the same fate. Each story follows the same arc: creation, rise, partnership, takeover. Farrakhan explained why this keeps happening. True independence challenges the order of American power. If black people maintain control of wealth and culture, they begin to see themselves as equals. And in a system designed to maintain hierarchy, equality is treated as a threat. The logic is plain: keep the descendants of slaves in positions where they may have success, but not sovereignty. Allow them wealth, but not power. Allow them influence, but only under the supervision of those who hold the keys to the larger system. This truth extends beyond entertainment and business. In politics, black leaders have often been absorbed into larger parties where their influence is limited by agendas they did not create. In education, black institutions face chronic underfunding while being told to partner with predominantly white universities. In economics, black businesses are starved of capital. Each of these reflects the same pattern: the language of partnership, the reality of control. Farrakhan's conclusion was unflinching: you have an enemy. Not an enemy in the sense of personal hatred, but in the sense of a system that refuses to allow true equality. Independence is always viewed as dangerous, because independence removes the chains of dependency that keep a people in check. As long as this reality is denied, the cycle will continue. What begins as pride in ownership will end in loss, unless there is unity, discipline, and the courage to resist. The struggle for truth is never finished, and neither is the work of telling it. Subscribe to Black Culture Unlocked, like this video, and share it with those who need to hear the message. Together we keep history from being erased, and we carry it forward with strength.